In the present video, I will be explaining how to compute the arithmetic mean of group data. When I say group data, it means that the data is in a frequency distribution like this. So we have classes and frequencies, and the frequencies indicate how many elements in each class. Each class is actually an interval of real numbers. So for example, in this case, there are five companies that expand in advertisement between 25 and 35 millions of dollars. So this is a table of data collected from 60 companies, and the variable that we are analyzing here is the expenditure in millions of dollars, the expenditure in advertising. So if we want to compute the mean of this data, it will be impossible to get it exactly because we don't know exactly how much these five companies, for example, they spend. We know that they spend between 25 and 35 millions. These 10 companies spend between 35 and 45 millions. But exactly how much spent each of them, it will be impossible to know if we have only a table like this. However, we're gonna get an estimation. So an estimation will be what we're going to get with the formula I'm going to tell you now. So this is the formula. So if the data is organized in a frequency distribution, we will be using the formula like this. The mean will be the sum of the frequencies times the midpoint of the classes. So if you notice, this is the same formula for the weighted mean, but instead of the variable x, of the values for the variable x, what we are going to use is the midpoint of each class. So in this formula, the f symbolizes the frequency of the class, the x means the midpoint of the classes, and the x bar is the arithmetic mean. So this is the arithmetic mean. Obviously, this is the symbol that we use. Is this arithmetic mean? Is from a sample. If this is from a population, then we use the symbol mu, and this n will be capital. N will be the total number in the population, the total number of elements in the population. Well, let's see how can we use this formula to compute actually the arithmetic mean of this sample. So let's see this as an example. The example will be computing the mean of the expenditure of these companies. The advertising expenditure of this company, of these 60 companies. So because we need the midpoint, then it will be important to have another column here with the midpoints. We also need the multiplication of the frequencies. These are the frequencies, the number of elements in each class. The frequency multiplied by the midpoint. So I will need another column for the multiplication of this frequency and the midpoint. Let's make other two columns for this example. So one column will be for the midpoint. So let's compute the midpoint of each class. What will be the midpoint between 25 and 35 millions? So one way to compute the midpoint is just get the average. So add together the two numbers and divide by 2. 25 plus 35, the answer is 60. You divide by 2, then you get 30. So 30 will be the first midpoint. The second midpoint, if you can get the midpoint, just seeing what is the center, exactly the center between these two numbers. Most of you notice that is 40, so you can type 40. But if you don't notice, you can add 35 plus 45, and this is 80 divided by 2, 40. So I'm going to type 40 here. 45 plus 55, this is 100. 100 divided by 2 is 50. you notice here that the midpoint is 60, so let's type 60 here, and the midpoint here is 70. I'm going to type here 70, and that's so you fill the the column for the midpoint, and now you need to fill the column for the product fx, the frequency times the mean. So let's make computations here in another column for fx. So the frequency times x, 5 times 30. 5 times 30, this is 150. I'm going to put here 150. 10 times 40, 10 times 40 is 400. So it will be here 400. Type here 400. Now 21 times 50. 21 times 50 is 1050. So I'm going to type here 1050. So in each case, you are multiplying the frequency times the midpoint. The frequency here is 16. The midpoint is 60. 16 times 60 is 960. So type here 960. 8 times 70. 8 times 70 is 560. So type here 560. Because the formula says that you need to add together all the fx. So add together all the fx. So 150 plus 400 plus 1050 plus 960 plus 560. The answer is 3120. Just type it here. And then you can use the formula. After you do that, you can use the formula to compute the mean. This is the formula, the sum of the fx and divided by n. You have both of these things here. You have the sum of fx, you compute it here, and you have n, that is this 60. N, actually the total number of observations is the sum of the frequencies. So if you add together all these numbers, in case that you don't have it, then you have n. So put all these numbers, substitute the numbers in the formula. It will be 3120 divided by 60. And you make this, and don't forget that this is the units here are millions of dollars. So this 3,120 is 3,120 millions of dollars. So when you do divide this, is 52. So it will be 52 millions of dollars. So as you see, it's very easy to compute the mean of group data. But let's see another example. The following frequency distribution is based on real estate list prices from the southeast area of Edmonton. Determine the arithmetic mean of the listed prices. And you see here the frequencies, and here are the classes. So for example, we have 33 houses or apartments whose values is between 250 and 375,000 of dollars. Here the units are thousands of dollars. How to compute the mean? Remember, make two new columns, one for the midpoint and another for the product of the frequencies and the midpoints. So let's see this. The midpoint is x, and the frequency and the midpoints will be given here. Yeah. So let's see the midpoint between 250 and 375. Add together the two numbers. If you don't see the midpoint easily, add together 250 plus 375 and divide by 2. Get the average of this, and I get 312.50. Let's do with the next one. Let's do the same with the next one. 375 plus 500, 875. 875 divided by 2, 437.5. 500 plus 625 and divided by 2. This is 1,125 divided by 2. I get 562.5. 625 plus 750 divided by 2, 687.5. Then get the midpoint the same way of in this class, 750 plus 875, and then divide by 2, I get 812.5. 875 plus 1,000, 1875 divided by 2, 937.5. And finally, this plus this is 2,125 divided by 2 is 1,062.5. Then make another column for the fx. And the fx, so the frequency, these are the frequency times the midpoint. 33 times 312.5. I got 10,312.5. 41 times 437.5. This is 70,937.5. 11 times 562.5. I got 6,187.5. 5 times 687.5. I got 3,437.5. 4 times 812.5. I get 3,250. 1 times this number, this is 1 times 937.5 is 937.5. And finally, 1 times 1062.5 is 1062.5. Add together all these numbers, use your calculator, 10,312.5 plus the other numbers, and I got 43,125. Now that I have this, the sum of all the fx, I also have the n, that is the sum of the frequency. The only that I need to do is just the formula. The mid will be the sum of the fx divided by n, so it will be 43,125 divided by 96. And I get, remember, the answer will be in thousands of dollars. So let's see, will be 449.2 thousands of dollars. And this will be the average of this, of the list price of these houses or apartments. And that concludes the two examples to explain you how to compute the arithmetic mean from group data. Thank you.